Christmas is supposed to feel warm. That's the story everyone knows. Lights, music, laughter, people gathered around tables pretending everything is okay. But for some people, Christmas doesn't feel warm at all. It feels heavy. And the strangest part is this: the loneliness doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being surrounded by reminders of what's missing. If you've ever felt more isolated during Christmas than on any normal day, you're not broken, you're not ungrateful, and you're definitely not the only one. Because Christmas isn't just a holiday. Psychologically, it's a mirror. It reflects relationships, family dynamics, memories, loss, expectations you never agreed to, but are still expected to perform. While the world gets louder and brighter, some people feel themselves getting quieter, not because they hate joy, but because joy, when it's forced, has a way of highlighting absence. Social media fills with smiling faces, perfect families, matching pajamas, and captions about gratitude. And even if you know those images aren't the full truth, but because joy, when it's forced, has a way of highlighting absence. Social media fills with smiling faces, perfect families, matching pajamas, and captions about gratitude. And even if you know those images aren't the full truth, but psychology tells a very different story. For many, Christmas activates emotional layers that stay dormant the rest of the year. Old roles, unresolved grief, unspoken distance, relationships that never healed properly. And once those layers are activated, the season stops feeling festive. It starts feeling exposing. Because when a holiday tells you how you're supposed to feel, any deviation from that script feels like failure. And that pressure to feel happy, grateful, connected, often creates the exact opposite. So before we go any deeper, understand this. Feeling lonelier during Christmas isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something real is being touched. And once you understand what that is, this season starts making a lot more sense. There's a reason Christmas doesn't just feel sad for some people. It feels heavy. Not loud sadness, not dramatic loneliness. A quiet weight that settles in your chest and doesn't fully leave. Because Christmas isn't just a holiday. It's a mirror. It reflects everything you don't have right now. The family you lost, the relationship that didn't last, the version of life you thought you'd be living by now. And when the world is glowing with lights and certainty, that contrast becomes impossible to ignore. Psychologically, holidays like Christmas activate something called social comparison amplification. Your brain doesn't just compare, it over-compares. Every image of togetherness, every laugh in the background, every perfect moment you witness quietly asks your nervous system a painful question. Why doesn't my life look like that? Even if you know those images are curated, even if you know joy isn't always real, your body still reacts. That's because Christmas is built around expectation, not reality. You're not just expected to rest. You're expected to feel grateful, connected, warm, fulfilled. And when your inner world doesn't match that script, your mind interprets it as failure. But here's the truth most people never say out loud. Feeling lonelier during Christmas doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means your emotional system is honest. You're not numb enough to fake joy. You're not distracted enough to avoid reflection. And you're not shallow enough to mistake noise for connection. For people who feel deeply, Christmas doesn't distract them from what's missing. It magnifies it. And that's not weakness, that's awareness. Here's the part almost no one warns you about. Christmas doesn't just bring memories, it reactivates emotional archives. Your brain doesn't experience Christmas as a single day, it experiences it as a pattern. The same lights, the same music, the same dates on the calendar. And your nervous system remembers what happened the last time you were here. That's why Christmas can suddenly pull emotions out of nowhere. Grief you thought you moved past, loneliness you learned how to function around. Missing someone you rarely think about anymore? It's not random. Psychologists call this emotional reactivation, when a familiar environment cues old emotional states stored in memory. Your mind isn't asking what's happening now, it's asking what happened last time I felt this. And for many people, previous Christmases weren't light and joyful. They were quiet, awkward, lonely, or filled with emotional pressure. Forced smiles, unspoken family tension, being around people but not feeling seen. So when the season returns, your body reacts before your mind explains it. That heavy feeling in your chest, that sudden drop in energy, that urge to withdraw.
It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because your system remembers being emotionally overloaded in spaces where you were expected to feel happy. Christmas also magnifies contrast. If you're missing someone, the absence feels louder. If you feel behind in life, the comparisons feel sharper. If your inner world is already heavy, the external celebration can feel almost cruel. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Christmas exposes emotional gaps we've been ignoring all year. It highlights who's not there. What hasn't healed? What never became what you hoped it would? That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're emotionally honest. People who feel more during Christmas aren't broken. They're aware. They're not numbing themselves with noise or distraction. They're actually present with what the season brings up. And that takes courage in a culture that demands constant cheer. So if Christmas stirs old emotions in you, it's not because you're failing the holiday. It's because the holiday is touching parts of you that were never fully acknowledged. And that's where the real psychology begins. Here's the part most people never hear. The heaviness you feel during Christmas isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that something real is happening inside you. Christmas doesn't create sadness, it reveals it. It strips away distractions. It slows time down. It puts memories, expectations, and comparisons right in front of your nervous system, all at once. And if your life doesn't match the version of happiness the season keeps advertising, your body notices before your mind can explain it. That doesn't make you broken. It makes you honest. Some people feel lonelier during Christmas because they remember who used to be there. Some feel heavy because they realize how much they've changed. Some feel out of place because they no longer fit into roles they once survived in. And some feel all of it at the same time. What looks like emotional weakness is often emotional depth colliding with nostalgia, expectation, and unresolved grief. Christmas has a way of asking questions you didn't plan to answer. Who do you miss? What version of yourself never came back? What are you still carrying quietly? And here's something important. You're not failing the holiday because you don't feel joyful. The holiday is simply exposing what you haven't had space to feel all year. The truth is, not everyone experiences connection the same way. Not everyone feels safe in celebration. Not everyone finds comfort in noise, tradition, or forced togetherness. Some people process inward. Some people feel slower. Some people need meaning, not decorations. And that doesn't make them difficult. It makes them self-aware in a world that rewards emotional performance. So if Christmas feels heavy for you, don't rush to fix it. Don't shame yourself for it. Don't compare your inner world to someone else's highlight reel. Instead,
Ask a gentler question. What is the season trying to show me about myself? Because sometimes the people who feel the most during holidays are the ones who love deeply, remember fully, and carry history in their nervous system. And that's not a flaw. That's sensitivity with memory. So let me ask you something and answer honestly. Do you feel heavier during Christmas because you're lonely or because you're finally quiet enough to hear yourself? If this video made you feel seen, understood, or less alone, leave a comment and tell me which part resonated with you the most. And if you want more psychology-based videos that speak to the parts of you people rarely talk about, make sure to subscribe. This isn't just content. It's a space for people who feel deeply, especially when the world expects them not to.